afternoon for you, Xavier. And with me, as always, as you can see, my co-host and the brains of the show, Xavier. How's it going, mate?
I'm doing pretty good, Harrison. How about yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. Like I said just before we come on, a little bit hungover, I suppose, but it was Super Bowl weekend, so you got to enjoy it. Initial thoughts on the game?
Could have been better. Really, all I can say about it. Could have been better, but it happens. I think this is a perfect example of why you invest in your offensive line.
Yeah. Sorry, just checking something. Yeah, we could see, they were missing the two starting tackles, I believe. And
and a guard too.
Oh my God, and Patrick Mahomes just didn't have a chance.
Interesting statistic here. He was pressured 29 times on 52% of his dropbacks. That is the highest pressure percentage ever in any single recorded game.
That's ridiculous. But okay, yeah, the Super Bowl in Tampa, you're going up against one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and you're going up against the number one defense of the year. But it's a next man up league. Every player knows it's a next man up league. And Mahomes didn't even get more than 3 seconds in the pocket at any one time. And for me, that's just shameful playing. If I'm Patrick Mahomes, I'm asking questions of my guys like, you've at least got to get a couple of blocks. Paul Mahomes is running for his life every single play and just didn't stand a chance. But, not Tom Brady's biggest fan. I'm sure people will know that who follow me. But a person who I'm a big fan of is Bruce Arians. What a legend of the game. Obviously, come in with Chuck Pagano. Did a lot for the Colts when Chuck was struggling, when Chuck wasn't too well. And I have nothing but respect for the guy. And Tampa Bay, the Super Bowl champions, are you happy? What are your feelings about this?
Just another Brady Super Bowl, I guess. That's all you can really say about it. Very winning quarterback. He kind of went to a perfect situation down there in Tampa Bay. It took a while for that team to really look like they're going to get rolling, but we knew what they could be. That defense, obviously, the best in the league. It is absolutely phenomenal from top to bottom. That secondary, it's pretty well, definitely well above average. Linebacker core, best in the league any day of the week. And then their defensive fronts, top 10, possibly even top 5. So just a really, really good team there. And then you go on the offensive side of the ball, same way. I mean, best receiving core in the league, top 5 offensive line, good running back room, and then, of course, Tom Brady himself. So, I mean, that team was just absolutely loaded to the gills. And you just kind of expect it. Like, I felt like that was Brady's Super Bowl to lose more than anything.
Yeah.
Him going into that, he fought through a lot of adversity. I'll give him that compared to where they were at the start of the season to where they were at the end. But to say that I'm shocked that this was the outcome, not really. Not really. I wanted to say Mahomes would win. I wanted to bet on Mahomes, but that was just kind of like a long time coming right there.
Yeah, it was a tough game to watch, not going to lie. Sort of nearly went to bed at halftime, but I thought, no, I won't. I'll hold off. You never know. But for me, I'm gonna be overcritical here, and I don't know if you have the term over there, but we have a term over here. It's called shithousing or shithousery. It's basically taunting, throwing it back at someone. And I'm all for it when, I can't remember. I think it was it Whiteman who did the little peace sign to Tyreek Hill, took the penalty.
Junior, what was his name? Yeah. Antonio Winfield.
That's it, Winfield. That's funny in that. What did get me pissed off and mad was Tyrann Mathieu, is it 32 or something like that for the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Wagging his finger in Tom Brady's face in the Super Bowl is not a good idea.
Hey, Tom didn't like it either, did he?
No, the last person you want to get fired up in the Super Bowl is probably the most clutch quarterback of all time. And it was just, I watched that guy throughout the game, and he seemed to have a excuse after excuse. You know, he was always blaming someone else. And for me, for the Chiefs, I'd want to get rid of him. Not because he had a poor game. Not about that. You know, you can always have a bad game. You can always have a good game. But just his general attitude throughout that game was shocking. I think he's a captain as well. Yep. It was shocking. You know, he was blaming these guys. He wasn't helping up his team. And, you know, as soon as Tom Brady knew that he had him beat, it was just game over.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. You know, when I watched him play, there was a lot of instance where he would just kind of throw his hands up. He would display his frustration time and time again, and then it got to a point where it's just play after play after play. You would see him visibly frustrated on the field. And when you're a leader, you know, people look to you for the calm. They look to you to have the play call, you know, just for you to be a steady hand in that game. And that's something he wasn't. To me, it just looked like him and a good portion of people on that defense just really were not holding their nerves together. And in my opinion, that's the reason they lost that game.
Mm-hmm. Flags, referees, we talk about them a lot on this show because we've seen a lot of BS calls against the Colts, and we've seen a lot of BS calls, not just against the Colts, but in the game overall. For example, I was watching that game last night. Early hours of the morning for me, last night for you. Where were them flags during the regular season? You know, for me, it was baffling. I honestly don't get the holding rule anymore. What did you make of the flag football? It was just a lot of rules just seemed to get. I'm not saying they went in favour of Tom Brady because a lot of them were deserved and a lot of them were self-inflicted. But for example, the offside. What Kansas City giveaway? I did not see a player offside there. Did you?
Nah, I really didn't either on that play. So I was kind of confused because on TV they didn't show the angle of him actually being offside. So I was just kind of like, "What the hell did I see there?" It just shows like a backwards angle of just the line, and I was like, "You can't tell anything with this." So yeah, that was really weird how they didn't show the actual like angle of him being offsides. It didn't look like it looked like he moved when the other player moved. It looked pretty clean. Yeah. Maybe the ref saw something I didn't. You know, that's possible, but it was really weird. And another thing, let's tie back into that last thing we was talking about. You know, there was a lot of flags you were talking about that were deserved, but there was a lot that I felt like were pretty touch and go. They were really bang bang. And, you know, none of them, it seemed like were going in the way of Kansas City. So that could tie into that frustration Tyrann Mathieu was having. And I'm sure that was a little bit of it. Still, I don't think he should have lost his cool like that. And he should have been up in Brady's face, wagging his finger, you know, doing all that stuff. But still, whenever, even if things aren't going your way, you cannot have a meltdown like that. You cannot have a meltdown at all. Especially in the biggest game of the year, in the Super Bowl. That is the worst time to lose your cool.
Yeah. And there's quite a funny story we have on this side of the pond. When the England rugby team used to play the New Zealand rugby team, you know, if you don't know, the New Zealand rugby team do the haka. It's sort of a tribal dance before the game, you know, it's quite cool to watch. And the professional English players were saying we used to try and pick out the smallest guy and stare out the smallest guy because you look at the biggest guy and it's quite scary. So you pick the smallest guy, you're like, I've got to run for you instead of the biggest guy. You know, if you're Tyrann Mathieu, start mouthing off to their punter who's not going to get a punt all game or their kicker. Not Tom Brady, anyone but Tom Brady. Like, that's like being ahead against LeBron or Jordan at halftime and then saying, yeah, we're winning, yeah, celebrating in front of them two and then just getting destroyed. But talking about halftime, just quickly, what did you make of the halftime show?
It's all right. The Weeknd. I mean, it's the Weeknd. Good artist.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't watch that much of it. I watched like the first half of it, I think, and then I was doing something else. I don't remember what I was doing, but yeah, I mean, the Weeknd is just. I mean, he's a good artist in general, so having him up there was good. I think they could have chose a better song though. I mean, there's a lot of hits the Weeknd has that they could have chose rather than what they played. But
yeah,
I mean,
and it seemed to go on for a long, long time.
yeah.
Anyway, back into the game. Gronkowski proving his worth and proving that he's just a freak of human nature. The guy's like just a living giant, especially when it comes to playing with Brady himself. And what was nice to see was that after the game, Bruce Arians turned around and said, "We're going for 8. As in, we're going for another one with Tom Brady. We're going for another one with Tampa." It's nice to see that aggressiveness from a coach and not just, "Oh, we'll see how it goes, one game at a time." It's nice to see someone going, "We're coming back and doing it again."
Yeah, it's he's got that demeanor to him. That's something I love. Now, will they be able to hold this team together? That's a really good question because I think Godwin's gone. Truly, I don't think they got the cap space to re-sign him. But still, yet, I mean, I think Bruce Arians, even without Godwin, even without Antonio Brown, they still have a number one receiver, Mike Evans. They're still going to have Tom Brady, of course. They're still going to have that really good offensive line. All them guys are still on contract. They're going to have Levante David. Jason Pierre-Paul is probably going to go. But they're still going to have lots of talent. That's kind of the point I'm making. So I think that Bruce Arians and them, they can make another run. But I think there's one thing standing in their way next year. And that is going to be the 49ers. The 49ers, they've been banged up this year, but now they're going to be having them back. Godwin to Indy? Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, you just seen the comment from Mikey. Cheers for watching, Mikey. Godwin to Indy. I like that you brought that up, Mikey, because the next part of the show is going to be the title's gone off the screen for some reason. Let me just see if I can get it back up. God, love technology at its best. 1 second. There we go. See it now. In all caps, the next title of the show is The Colts Are on the Clock. With the season coming to an end and in fantastic style, Tom Brady winning his 7th, even though he still is in Peyton Manning's shadow. Peyton Manning is the guy. You can't change my mind. This section's going to be trade. It's going to be like the stock market of Reddit. Everything's going up, everything's coming down. The world's just going to go mental. Okay. And the first one, thanks, Tom. Let's address the elephant in the room and all these rumors about Carson Wentz to the Colts. Xavier, you said there was a three-way trade talk or something going on?
Yeah, confirmed by a credible source, quote unquote, on Twitter. This is hearsay. Okay, just putting that out there. The Eagles are currently in trade talk with 2 other teams to send Carson Wentz somewhere. Not sure where. They didn't disclose who is in the trade, anything like that. But they said there are 2 other teams in the trade talk for sure, and that it is a done deal. Carson Wentz, the ship has sailed. That was their exact words. Ship has sailed. He is going somewhere else. Now, if he comes to the Colts, contrary to popular belief, I like Carson Wentz. I think he was just pissed at his organization. Like there were people releasing reports saying that they would tell him he did something wrong in practice or in a game. They would correct him, and they'd be like, let's run reps on it in practice. And he'd be like, no. He'd pretty much just be like, I mean, kind of kiddish. You know what I'm saying? You can't just tell your coach no, running a rep. But it's something he was doing. And I think that was just out of frustration with the organization. Obviously, Doug Peterson was a bad coach. He didn't want him there. There's a lot of things with that. So I think him coming back to Reich would be a good thing. I think that would cool his temper. I think he would be in a much easier system as well, instead of having to deal with Doug Peterson's whatever he did, mumbo jumbo, I guess.
Okay. From Mikey, I think Wentz is broken. Was up for the Stafford, but that price was too high. Yeah, I'll lead on this. So I think we all wanted Matt Stafford in Indy. It seemed like the perfect fit. Great quarterback and just a fantastic person and player. But LA, did he go to in the end? Yeah. Massively overpaid for him. I'm not doubting the guy's talent and I'm not digging on the guy's talent, but there was cheaper options out there for LA. Just back to the Carson Wentz to Indianapolis. The one thing I will say is Chris Ballard himself did come out and say he was not paying the price that was rumored. He wasn't going to give up 2 firsts for Carson Wentz, which I like. Was the price too high for Matthew Stafford, or am I doing him dirty a little?
No, way too high. Absolutely. 33-year-old quarterback. You want 2 first-rounders, and you want another franchise quarterback on top of it. Come on. Well, let's live in the real world here for a second now. You can't do that. And as much as I love Matthew Stafford, I think he's a great quarterback. Do not get me wrong. I think the Lions organization has really just kind of hampered his career in every single way possible. Almost sometimes it looks like sabotage, honestly. But it's still yet, you're giving up a guy who is going to be a mid-pack quarterback for the Lions and 2 of your first-round picks, which you haven't had a first-round pick in what? Now it's going to be 8 and 9 years. That's pretty outrageous, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a mental one. Tom, if Wentz does come to Indy, I trust Frank Reich to get him back to the Eagles Super Bowl season form. I think all Colts fans, true Colts fans, do believe Frank Reich can do that. We've seen what this guy can do with a 40-year-old, one-legged Phillip Rivers. Imagine what he can do with someone who's the slightest bit mobile. I'm not saying, if Carson Wentz did come to Indy, I'd back him all the way because he's a Colts player. End of story. I've said what I've had to say on Carson Wentz. I don't like him as a player, and when a player gets in this negative slide, it's very hard to get out. You look at all the past players, bring it home for the English lads. Look at Jack Wilshere for Arsenal, on top of the world 1 minute, and then as soon as he landed on that slide, it's a long and quick way down. Me personally, I'd like to ride the Jacob Eason train. Why not get on this guy? He's talented. He's got the arm strength. He's got the brains. And I think we've really got a gem. I'm not going to say he's next Patrick Mahomes or next Tom Brady, but I would rather spend a year developing a rookie and seeing what we've got than wasting a year on Carson Wentz and then being stuck with a mega contract.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from there. Just not wanting to take the chance. You're going to eat a huge cap hit with Carson Wentz. There's a lot of negatives to that. There is definitely a lot of negatives to that, and especially Jacob Eason, just because of how strong his arm is. We've only seen 1 real year out of him at Washington. It's just intriguing to see what we've got in him. My bad.
Anyway, back to the first comment from Mikey. Godwin to Indy. Now, we are going to talk unrealistic trades in here because we can do. It's the internet. Let's have a bit of fun. It's the off season. Anything can happen. What realistically would it take to get Godwin to Indy?
A good deal. I'll tell you that much. I don't know about Mac's contract, but definitely I feel like $15 to $18 million. I really think that's in his ballpark. He is an excellent receiver. He had an excellent year despite playing amongst 2 other elite receivers in their own right. So,
is he up on contract or is he free agent?
I believe he's unrestricted free agent this year.
Unrestricted free agent. So we would be able to go and get him. We know Frank Rallard, a combination of the life. Chris Ballard is stingy with his money in the sense he will take weeks and months just to plan to get a single guy. We've seen it. He's not panicked about the quarterback. He never will. And he will always hold his cards close to his chest because when we say this, we said on our last show, this is the guy who drafted Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and someone else for the Chiefs. This guy can know his talent. So let's let him work his magic. But now we are going to talk dream trades in this offseason. Now, this can be anything that's ridiculous to realistic. If the guys watching have got a dream trade they'd like to see for the Colts or maybe a different team, get them in the chat. I'm going to go first. TJ Watt coming to Indy for 3 first-rounders.
I mean, that sounds absolutely awesome. Yeah. Get TJ Watt over here. 3 first-rounders. If the Steelers took that, their GM just needs to be handcuffed to a pole and left there, I guess. But I mean, hey, if it went through, yeah, that'd be great. I like TJ Watt a lot. I think what he brings as an edge presence is absolutely fantastic. But if it would be my personal trade, who I would want Khalil Mack. The Bears are in cap space hell. This is kind of realistic. The Bears are in cap space hell. They got to get rid of a lot of players this year, especially if they want a quarterback to come in. They've talked about trading for Carson Wentz. This is kind of like what I'm thinking is happening. I think they're going to try to actually get Wentz in this 3-trade deal. Ryan Pace, he'll take any trade offer. At this point, he's just anything that comes his way, he'll take it. But I think if we had an opportunity to get Khalil Mack for maybe what is he, 30 years old, 2 first-rounders and 2 first-rounders and maybe a player, maybe a Bobby Okereke or something goes to the Bears to bolster their linebacker core. I would take that deal. Now, a lot of people love Bobby Okereke. I do myself. I think in that fast run-stuffing kind of player, he's a great player. But I think for our scheme, I don't think Bobby Okereke really fits where he plays. He's not a coverage guy. That's not him. And they have him playing middle linebacker in Tampa too. Get a lot of responsibilities and coverage on him. So if we could somehow get Khalil Mack, we should finagle our way to getting him. I will be happy. It's just speculation though.
Imagine that second three, that number 3, the 3 if you want to call it, of Darius Leonard, Khalil Mack, and Anthony Walker. Jesus,
that'd be nasty.
Yeah, and then you got DeForest Buckner up front with Justin Houston, maybe if he's coming back. It's going to be a crazy offseason for sure. Another trade and a bit more realistic, I think. Sam Darnold to the Colts. That means the Jets would be lacking a quarterback, but they're probably going to draft one. Maybe a 3rd and a 4th this year for Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I could see it. I've actually seen a lot of people saying too as well, though, that the Jets are have talked to him or talked about trading him, and that some people they might be asking for a first-rounder. Now, I don't know how true that is. I don't think anyone's giving up a first-rounder for Sam Darnold either, so I wouldn't put too much into that. But if we could get Darnold for a 3rd and 4th, I think Ballard would jump on it. I think Ballard would absolutely jump on that opportunity. Matt Salah, their new coaches, came in and he's spoke hugely about him. Said he's a great talent. Said it's been unfortunate about how his career's transpired so far, but he thinks that he has a lot of good football in him.
Yeah, he's better than that team. Obviously, Big Nick Sirianni's over there now, so maybe we can work out a friendly deal. Being ex-Colts and all that. Is there any fantasy drafts you have in your head or any crazy moves that you might see coming this offseason?
I think free agent pickups. I think I do. There is a couple that we could get. My biggest is definitely Carl Lawson. Carl Lawson is had a breakout year this year. They actually benched. What is his name? He was a Bengal forever, and they traded him to the Seahawks later in the season. What was his name? He was like a trademark Bengal. It was him and Geno Atkins, the two guys. You know, they're great players. Anyways, he ended up getting benched. He was a career like 50 pressure a year guy, 50 to 70. So he was an elite rusher. He got benched by Carl Lawson because of how good he was this year. Carl Lawson absolutely tore the Steelers a new one every single game they played. It was really, really fun to watch. So I think we'll go after him in this offseason. I think he's a 10 million, 12 million a year kind of guy too. He's worth a lot of money. I think Bud Dupree from the Steelers, he's a free agent this year. He did just tear his ACL, so I think he'll take a pay cut, but I think he'll bounce back and be a really good player if he does decide to sign with us.
Mikey seems to think Darnold for a third and a fourth would be a good deal. We completely agree, mate. If I had Chris Ballard's number, I'd ring him up now and I'd be saying, get it in. But it's going to be interesting. Very good point, actually, because I forgot this was the Quentin Nelson trade. Means we got more out of the original deal for the picks with the Jets. That's a good point coming up. And I don't know about you, Xavier, but to me, Chris Ballard is the type of guy who thought about this when he originally traded with the Jets.
Playing chess, man.
Yeah. I feel like he is the type of guy who originally thought about this when he made the trade. And just, I'd be hyped if we got Darnold. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, I'd buy a Darnold jersey immediately. I can't lie. I like his play style. I don't know if you saw earlier in the season, there was a play where they ran him on a 18 power run. This dude lowers his shoulder into the end zone and scores. It was crazy. You know, he's got a lot of fight in him. That's what I love about Darnold. And that's kind of why I've been a big advocate. You know, I kind of throw him to the back a little bit because of, you know, people that have proven themselves. You know, maybe we are a Super Bowl roster after all.
Yeah.
And I would like best case scenario. But, man, I mean, we've seen time and time again this guy just put on the pads and go to war for this Jets organization who has done absolutely nothing for him. So I think it's about time I start giving him his due. You know, it's starting to get to the point where it's like, you know, Darnold's probably like our second best option at this point.
But being real though for a minute, if we do get Darnold, you look at the offensive scheme around him. Frank Reich's he's offensive play caller with Marcus Brady in there as well. That fantastic offensive line that's going to get better in this offseason. I've no doubt about that. If we re-sign T.Y., I don't think we will, but hopefully we do because I love him. You know, T.Y., Mike Pittman, Zach Pascal, Paris Campbell will be fit, hopefully, for a full year. Jonathan Taylor with the possibilities of Marley Mack, maybe. Just what a fantastic offense for this guy to come into and prove what he can do as a quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I had some of them, but I forgot it. Talking about getting carried away with Sam Darnold, that's what that is. But I think it was, so this Colts team going into next year, I watched that. I've watched every playoff game I can. By that, I mean, I think I missed one because it was on Nickelodeon. But there was not many teams in them playoffs where I thought they're better than the Colts.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after the game against the Bills, you know, we just completely outplayed them, and it was just, you know, some errant 2-point conversions and some, you know, missed on 4th and goal stuff. You know, we should have won that game. I think we were the third best team in the playoffs. I'm going to be honest with you. But you know, that's just sometimes how the cookie crumbles.
But maybe that's a blessing in disguise for this team. You know, it may be a long off season. Everyone can go and relax. Quentin can go and get fit again. What's this from Mikey? I like the left tackle the Jets have. If they wanted to go absolutely cover zero, crazy with a trade. Yeah. We all know what you're referring to there, Mikey, with the cover zero. But so who is this left tackle for the Jets? I don't
Kai
know.
Becton. That's who he's talking about. Rookie out of Louisville. I actually have a couple film analysis videos on my YouTube of him.
Yeah.
And he's a beast. Yeah, absolutely. 6'7", about 365 pounds. Humongous guy. He also ran a 5 flat, which is the fastest ever at that size of a tackle. He's hyper athletic, super aggressive, probably already a top 3 run blocking left tackle in the league, and he's a rookie. He's a beast. You put him beside Quentin Nelson, that'd be road grade city over there. So yeah, if they let him go, hey, come on over to Indy. You want to talk about the best line in the league? Yeah, that'd be guaranteed.
I don't think, as much as I say we were a great team in the playoffs and one of the better teams in the playoffs, I'm quite happy we didn't get to the Super Bowl because I don't think we was ready for it. A lot of young heads on this team. But it just feels like this team is building towards something better and building towards the future. You watch all the press conferences, Chris Ballard turning around and saying, you're never going to have the number 1 overall pick with me. It's just aggressive, and I like it being aggressive. But my question is, who do we build this team around now? Because there's a lot of good players and there's a lot of good parts of this team, but who do we build around?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. In the NFL, offensively, you have to build around your quarterback. That's just how it works. You have to find people that will suit your quarterback as a quarterback-driven league. So I don't think we know until we find our quarterback. Now, defensively, of course, we got Buckner, Leonard, and Kenny Moore. And also Julian Blackman. He had a promising rookie year. I think he's earned that right to be in that conversation as well. So I think on defense, we got 4 guys. We got 2 guys in our secondary already. We build around them. And we got 2 guys in our front 7 that are very, very good, especially. And then, of course, we got Grover Stewart already put at our 1 tech. And, I think we can find a lot of talent in this draft, especially 3rd and 4th round down on the defensive side. And I think that's what we'll do. But offensively, we got the great offensive line. We got the receiving core. Paris Campbell is really good. I think he's very, very talented. He's just been injured. Michael Pittman, of course. I think it's just we got to find that quarterback. We got to get that guy in there that's going to bode well with this Frank Reich system.
And I know a lot of Colts fans and the ones watching and the ones who are going to watch this will be probably not hoping for this, but we are discounting one guy, and that's Jacoby Brissett. Chris Ballard turned around and said, don't count him out, because and when somebody likes a guy and believes in him that much, we don't know what Jacoby Brissett can do. We've seen him in a season where he didn't expect to be the starter, got thrust into it, a bit out of his depth, did okay, and then we've seen him again with sort of a depleted wide receiving core, injury plagued. So do we really know what this guy can do? Okay, he's not the best quarterback out there and probably not the best option, but would he get us? I'm confident he would get us to the playoffs.
Yeah, I could agree. I think our team is, there's a lot of people on Twitter that will say that this team with Jacoby Brissett would be 8-8 or worse, 7-9. Some people even, I saw some 5-11 talk as well. I'm just here to tell you, this team is way, 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 way too good to even be sniffing 5-11. That's just not happening. It's not happening at all. I can promise you that. This year I've been a big critic of Phillip Rivers. I think Phillip Rivers, he grew on me a lot because, when we first acquired this guy, I thought the sky was falling. I was just kind of done. I was like, I didn't even want to watch this season. I'm a big Colts fan. I've been a Colts fan since I was about 4 years old. But I thought that there was just so many other opportunities we had to get a good quarterback. And we chose Philip Rivers, and mostly because Frank Reich's connection with him. And at the end of the season, it turned out to be good. He did a great job. But to be fair, the first 8 seasons, or the first 8 weeks, the first 9 weeks, honestly, if we were winning a game, it was in spite of Philip Rivers. We were fighting through adversity because Philip Rivers' play was not good. So if we can get a guy in here that's going to play well for 16 games, we will be blowing teams out. That's the truth. We just need that to happen. We need to get a guy in here that can play well for 16 games. And we haven't seen that out of Jacoby. We haven't seen that out of Philip. We haven't seen that since Andrew Luck left. So I think our organization's hungry for it. I think our fan base is hungry for it. And again, if we got to take a gamble on a guy, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are your thoughts on end of season awards and off season awards, and whatever you want to call them, MVPs, Hall of Fames? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, there was one Hall of Famer that I saw that I was really happy to see, and that was Calvin Johnson being first ballot. Of course, Peyton Manning, but I mean, we knew that shit was happening, man. Come on. Peyton Manning's Hall of Fame any day of the week. But Calvin Johnson making it first ballot, that was awesome. A lot of people don't give him the respect he deserves. Just because he played for the Lions, just because he never won a championship. I truly believe that is the best version of a wide receiver we have ever seen in this football league.
Yeah.
6'5", 4'3", 4'3", 140-yard dash, 240 pounds. I mean, that guy was like pinnacle human evolution. Like, he was humongous. Fast, had the highest jumping vertical, like highest reach in NFL history. Like, he was just never given a fair chance to get a Super Bowl. But I saw a lot of people saying they were surprised he was first ballot, and I was like, man, he had the greatest receiving season in NFL history. What are you surprised about?
These are the same people who can't get off of the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I like them in a way, the awards. I like the Hall of Fame. It's nice to have. It means people get the recognition, the players get the recognition they deserve. But Defensive Player of the Year sparked a lot of controversy, between Aaron Donald and TJ Watt. A lot of people saying TJ Watt got robbed. Do you think he got robbed, or do you think Aaron Donald's still that guy?
That's a good question. And to touch on that TJ Watt thing, I thought TJ Watt week 11 was for sure the lock. That he was getting the award for sure. But after they just went on this downward spiral, they didn't win in the playoffs. They got bounced by the Browns. He had 2 or 3 no-show performances during that time. I just figured he was going to Aaron Donald at that point. To be fair to Aaron Donald, he has like some buku ridiculous pressure percentage per blocker. Like, I mean, it's literally insane compared to the rest of the league. So him getting it's not a huge deal to me. I mean, TJ Watts obviously was second, but to say he was snubbed, that's a stretch. They could have went either way, but I think Donald was definitely the candidate at that point.
I'm just saying, I think because the Colts are a small market team and they're not salty in any way, I think Darius Leonard would snub. For me, how this guy is not in the conversation every year, it's just ridiculous. A lot of people turn around and say, oh, well, he wasn't great in coverage. But he's Darius Leonard, man. And just watching him play, it's just good football. And there's no other way to put it. And he will be a Hall of Famer. That's just me being a homer, by the way. Yeah. Getting a bit emotional with Darius.
Well, to be fair, he is an above average coverage player as well. Like, people say he's not good in coverage. They're just comparing him to guys like Hicks and Levante David and Bobby Wagner. Yeah. Like, yeah, they're elite coverage linebackers, but Darius Leonard is not that far behind them. Let's be honest. He's not that far behind them. And then when it comes to playing in the box, getting sideline to sideline, he's definitely the prototypical linebacker. Mm-hmm. So, there's a give and take there for sure. Darius Leonard, I think he's a couple seasons away from probably getting the Defensive Player of the Year. That's just my opinion about it. I think he's working on his craft really well. I think he's getting better year after year. And next year, if he puts together a full, healthy 16 games, we might see him get that award.
Well, did you have anything you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, there was one thing. Hold on, I sent it to my Twitter. Sent it to myself. Oh yeah, the Gronkowski thing. It's just mind blowing. Gronkowski comes back. He was beat to death his whole career. I mean, the guy was playing with like broken ribs at one point. He was playing with a broken foot, playing with a broken arm, multiple surgeries, repairs back, multiple vertebrae broken, and the dude is still like scoring 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. That is just mind blowing to me. I've never been a big Brady fan, but I've definitely been a huge Gronk fan. Gronk is just, he's that guy. He's a trooper. It's just really what he is. And anytime he can get hit and he gets back up, he keeps rolling. It don't matter. And that's kind of the reason I hated Brady, because Brady was just, if he got late hit or something, he's just freaking out the entire time, screaming, just throwing a tantrum. Yeah. Gronk's the different opposite, but they're still good friends. It's kind of weird. But still, yeah, I just kind of want to congratulate him, man. Gronk comes back, being 2 years, sitting on the couch, drinking Budweisers, chill, or Bud Light. He drinks Bud Light, I guess.
Yeah, WWE champion.
Yeah. Just doing all this extra stuff and comes back and wins another Super Bowl and has a 2 touchdown performance. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah. I did have a point. It's because it's the day after the Super Bowl. I'm still slightly lagging behind. The Colts, our favourite team, of course. We are Hoimers. We make no, attempt to cover it for the people watching. But this team, and I can't help but say it, it's just, I'm enjoying being a Colts fan right now. And it's not just we're playing great football, and it's not just, one player doing it all for us, but it's just the general culture around the building from, I feel like, I think somebody said, Chris Ballard knows everyone's name, not just players. He knows the training staff. He knows the kit man's name. He knows the kit man's wife's name. Even reporters, you see him talking to reporters, and he calls them by the first name like he's mates with them. And that's, quite refreshing to see. But what would be your advice, really, for the Colts this offseason?
I think I would just tell Chris Ballard to keep doing what he's doing. Mm-hmm. He's played his cards right, pretty much damn near perfect since he stepped foot in Lucas Oil. So I think he's doing a great job. I think he's making the correct calls, and I don't think there should be any pressure just to snag a quarterback, because again, you'll see the LA Rams situation. You'll see the overpaying, especially for Carson Wentz. If they want 2 firsts, I'd say something a lot different than what should be said, but that's all I got to say. You call me wasting my time saying 2 firsts for Carson Wentz, I'm going to hang up the phone on you. That's just how it works. But there's one guy we didn't bring up that's been in this quarterback corral. I think you're definitely, I don't know how you'll feel about this, but that's Jameis Winston. Famous Jameis, crab legs himself. We've seen him be good at times, and we've seen him be, we'll say, not so good. How about that? Jameis Winston is just this quarterback that was in the Bruce Arians system. Mm-hmm. There was a time during the season where Tom Brady for 4 straight weeks didn't complete one single deep pass. He went 0 for 23 for 4 straight weeks. This Bruce Arians system produces a large volume of interceptions. That's the bottom line. Now, Tom Brady is a different quarterback. He does not have to play by a system. He's won 6 Super Bowls, now 7 for a reason. He knows what he needs to do. But a guy like Jameis, he was young. He was impressionable. He comes in, he goes into this large volume, deep passing system. He throws 30 picks. He does throw, 5,000 touchdowns, 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns.
5,000 touchdowns.
Yeah. But I don't want to say I would just outright give Jameis Winston a chance. That's not what I'm saying. But this is what I will say. if worst case scenario, you know, shit hits the fan, everything falls through.
Mm-hmm.
Jameis Winston could probably come in and be a serviceable quarterback for at least a year.
Yeah. My worry with Jameis Winston is, are we just getting a carbon copy of Jacoby Brissett? That would be my one concern. I don't see why we'd get Jameis Winston if Jacoby's there. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't think Jameis Winston wants to be back up. So I don't get me wrong, great quarterback, and he's better than some of the options out there. But me personally, I think it cost too much to get in. I think the Saints were pretty clear, that he is their guy. But like you said, that Bruce Arians system is designed, to throw it along. Okay. Oh, Tom, personally, Winston would be way down my list just because of what he's seen. I get it.
Yeah, I agree. I said the same thing. I said, shit, he's a fan. Jameis Winston, to keep in mind, too, Jameis Winston is an unrestricted free agent. So, he has his decision on where he wants to go. Honestly, the Saints are a good team for him, to be fair. I mean, if they want to give him a starting position, they got a top 3 offensive line, and they got Alvin Kamara, and they got Michael Thomas. They got a lot of stuff there, but, Chris Ballard might be able to work some magic in case he is. I just think that Jameis Winston's not going to take a big contract. That's the only plus side I see to signing him. Now, of course, like you said, Brissett is just a smarter version of him. That's really all it is. Brissett is just a much smarter quarterback version of him. Both have, similar arms, similar accuracy. Brissett is just a much more conservative version of him. So, again, if Brissett wants $25 million again to ride the bench, possibly ride the bench, depending on if he gets benched, I just say let him walk. $25 million is a lot of money for a guy that just sits over there and does nothing. I'm sorry, it just truly is. So I don't know. We're just spitballing at this point. We don't know what Ballard's going to do, but Winston's a possibility.
Everyone likes to think they know what's going to happen until it actually happens. One guy quickly, because we're chatting on nearly on 50 minutes, and thanks to everyone tuning in. One guy who I would love to come to the Colts and just was fantastic last night. That's Mr. 8-0 in the playoffs, Pierre-Paul. 8-0 in the playoffs. Now, you can talk about Tom Brady, winning 7 rings. Fantastic. But Pierre-Paul, is 8-0. That's just ridiculous talent. And just to be honest, if we could somehow get him and Devin White, we'd have the number 1 defense.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think Levante Day. There's someone on their defense that's really good. I don't remember who it is. It's one of their linebackers. I know Jason Pierre-Paul is going to be a free agent, and he had a spectacular season. I mean, at one point in the league, he was the best edge rusher in the league when he played for the New York. Now, he went through a lot of stuff with the hand injury. Blew his fingers off or something like that, unfortunately, in an accident. But the guy was 285 pounds, 6'4", and had a 5% body fat. I mean, he was an absolute machine. That was like unheard of at the time. So I think really, if we could get him to come in and possibly even start for us at defensive end, you replace Justin Houston, who is regressed pretty badly this season. Even though I love him to death, I think Justin Houston did a great job for us. I just think it's time for someone else to come in, especially at $12 million a year or $8 million a year, whatever he's charging.
I think Justin Houston, his age has just shown this year. Like we said, fantastic servant for the Colts and love the guy, but you always need a fresh young talent coming through and younger people coming through. That's just the nature of the league. So I wouldn't be mad if we went out and got another guy there. Quick last comment from Tom. As much as I like Jacoby, I'd rather Eason be. As much as I like Jacoby, I'd rather Eason be backup QB. Yeah, I think that's what we're sort of trying to get across is we both love Jacoby, but for what he did last year, has he really earned a deal? Because even on some of the 4-for-1s, he didn't, convert when he should have. So I'd rather give Eason the chance. I think he deserves it. He's had a year to learn. It's going to be a long off season. Xavier, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I was just going to talk about the 4th and 1, how love-hate relationship that was. Every time they'd come in, man, Twitter would blow up with, oh shit, here's Jacoby again. Yeah, it's odd to see. It kind of worked well at times. There was times where it was just like, this is a little predictable. We know it's going to happen. But, our offensive line, majority of the time, is going to come through. So I didn't necessarily hate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think us Colts fans hate Jacoby. He's not a bad person. He's a good guy. He does a lot in the community. And he's just a good spirit. Maybe off-season, maybe pre-season, he's going to be the battle. And maybe that's where the job's going to be won or lost. Anyway, to everyone who's tuned in and commented, thank you so much. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's HarrisonPodVlog, all one word. At UK Colt Fans is who we work for, who we work with, who we enjoy doing all this content with. Xavier, where can the viewers find you? Where can anyone find you?
If you want to follow me up on Twitter, you can find me at I'm the HOA all together. YouTube, that's High Octane, ANALYSIS, High Octane Analysis. I haven't been posting a lot on my YouTube lately, but I do mock drafts. I do film analysis on players, especially offensive linemen. I do a film analysis on games as well. You can go look at some of the Colts games broke down if you'd like. If that's something you like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's 2 places you can find me.
Yeah, that's what we're going to look to incorporate into this stream when I've worked out how to work the technology is breaking down Colts, let's call them momentum games and like big plays and what we could have done differently and what we're seeing. A bit like the film rooms you watch with the NFL. Not to that standard, but a better standard because, we're better. And big shout out for the sponsor of this show, as always, Northern Summit Clothing. Check them out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Etsy. That's Northern Summit Clothing, NCS. That's all for now. See you next time.